So what do you do if USCIS, the Immigration Service, lost your case? Lost your case. You filed your case, you put all the forms, you pay the fees, you wait a week, you wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, nothing. No receipt, nothing from immigration. What do you do in this case? Well, there are certain things you can do, and this is something that is happening more and more often right now because the Immigration Service is so backlogged, because there's so many new officers they taken on. People get their cases lost, unfortunately. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do if this happens, how long you should wait, and some remedies to fix this situation. So make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. So what do you do if USCIS lost your case? You submitted all the documents and now you're sitting there waiting and nothing is happening. Well, remember, USCIS is a government agency. They're processing thousands and thousands of applications every day. In the past 4 years, the backlogs have increased significantly, and as a result, not only people are waiting longer, not just to get results on their cases, but also to get receipts and acknowledgement that immigration actually received your case. And in many cases, they literally just lose your case. So what do we do in this case? Well, the first thing you have to do is not to panic. There are things you can do to fix it. Even if you're filing and as a result you miss a deadline or you overstay, there's always a way to explain it as long as you can show that you've done everything you could to be able to send the case. And I'm going to tell you before the remedies of what you can do to fix it, what you can do so they don't actually lose your case ever. Number one, remember, before you send anything to the immigration, make a clear copy of every single document you send to them. Every single document. In fact, I would recommend for you to keep 2 copies, one in a safe place that you know, and another place is that in case you need to go over the documents and for other things, always have 2 copies of your application. The second thing you have to remember is that when you send this application, always pay with a check, because when you pay with a check, the first thing that happens once you cash your check, you'll see the case number at the back of your check. Most people are not familiar with that, but that's usually how they do it. They'll stamp the case number at the back of your check. If you use a money order, it's going to be very difficult for you to track it. And obviously, I'm not talking about if you file online, it's a whole different process, but there are many applications where you actually have to file by a mail. And in those cases, please use a check, a personal check, because on the back of the check, you will see probably even weeks before they even start working on your case that they've cashed the money and that you have a case number. Now, in addition to that, before you send anything to the immigration, make sure you read the instructions on the form. Whenever you send a case to the immigration, there are instructions on the form. It tells you where to send it, the location. There are many applications that go to different locations. If you're filing in California, it's going to go to one location. If you live on the East Coast, it's going to go to a different location. Make sure you read the application carefully and send it to the correct place. Sometimes if you send it to the wrong place, it will take them months to eventually send it to the correct place, or sometimes the case will just be lost. If you're filing applications for multiple family members, make sure you file them separately. So for example, if you're filing a citizenship application for a mother and a father, file the father as a separate case and then file the mother as a separate case. Even though they're both filing for citizenship, they have individual cases. There are many times where you file it together, documents can be recombined, shuffled, and as a result, cases get lost. This is the number one reason why applications for N400 get mixed up, because people file multiple family members in one package. Never do that. Everybody has their own case, file it separately. Once again, always use a trackable mail service like FedEx or UPS, so you'll be able to know when the case was received. And even if they lose your case, we'll be able to use that as evidence when we file the motion to reopen for your case. So what are we going to do if the immigration lost your case? What is the next step? Well, you filed your case, you're waiting for a few weeks, you call their number, they can't find the case, even if you have a tracking of the mail service. If 6 weeks, I would say even 2 months have passed. I mean, that's extreme, but let's say 2 months have passed. You have no information about your file. You have no receipts, nothing. I would definitely consider refiling, especially if it's a time-sensitive matter. Again, if you've done everything, all the investigation, you checked, you called their 800 number, you escalate, they still can't find your case, you need to refile, especially if it's a time-sensitive application like an adjustment of status. But what do you do if your case is lost just before the interview? So there are many cases where people have receipts and they're waiting, and then their interview date is scheduled, and then the immigration have to reschedule your case because the file is not there. They literally lost your file. So if you're about to be scheduled for an interview and they lost your case, then it's on them. They have to be able to find it. They have to give you a reasonable amount of time to do so. And if you're sitting there waiting for this interview to be rescheduled over and over because they lost your file, you can file a mandamus lawsuit to force them to act. This is one thing that happens when they lose the case. They don't admit it, and you're just sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting. You can sue them, and then they will take action to remedy this. Remember, the bottom line is that when cases are filed and you don't get any receipts or anything like that, and they lost the file, clearly lost, then you give it a certain amount of time, as I mentioned, and then literally refile. But if they lose your case when you already have a case number and they just keep dragging and dragging, then after you've done your investigation, you use the supervisor scaling up the inquiry. And after all this, you're just sitting there waiting a year. We had a case that just came in and they were waiting for 3 years for the immigration after the interview, actually, to get them results because they lost their file, because the case was sent somewhere else and they lost their file. Then a mandamus lawsuit will be very effective to force them to give you an answer and not just keep you hanging. So remember, USCIS might lose your file. That's many things you should do to prevent this from happening: making copies, using tracking services, using a check, and of course, filing online. If you can, anything you can file online, you should file online and avoid the mail service. But I know there are many applications you still need to file by mail because they need more evidence. If you can file online, avoid filing by mail, and that will be definitely the best way to do it. But some people still file by mail and this thing still happens. So if this happened to you, I'm sorry about that, but there are ways you can do to fix it. And again, if you've been to an interview and they still lost your file and you're sitting and waiting, then a mandamus will cure that. Once again, if you are watching this channel and you are waiting to get more news from our videos, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our videos. And also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to show this video to more people just like you. If you need help with your immigration case, if something happened with your case, you need immediate action to sue the government or any other matter, send me a text 619-483-4549 or go to www.immigrationasap.com. Leave your details in there. One of our team members will contact you ASAP. As always, let me know in the comments what other videos you want me to make. If this happened to you, let me know in the comments. And once again, thanks a lot for watching my videos, and I hope to see you in the next one.